First of all, let me share with you that we have had, between the launch of the survey on Thursday and Saturday at 4 p.m., we had 205 people who took the survey. I checked it this morning. It was up to about 228. That is huge. The survey results tell me that on average you spend about 7 minutes completing the survey, and 93% of you went all the way through the survey and clicked submit at the end so that we could get completed results. I am absolutely thrilled with the response rate. That's actually double the number of responses compared with any other survey that we have run since I've been the senior pastor here. So let me offer to you some important information that we can tell just from the response rate on the Readiness to Return survey. We received survey responses from a wide cross-section of our congregation. Every person who took the survey really took the time necessary to reflect and answered it all the way through to the end. That means that the results of the survey are going to be much more helpful for us. So let me take a moment to say thank you. Thank you, Faith, for doing such a great job on the survey. I want to let you know that if you miss the results that I'm sharing with us here on the live stream, we're going to post this part of the video later on our website, so you can always go back and look at it. Here's the big news from the survey. 80% of you said you want to stay safer at home for a while, and 20% of you said that you're ready to return. Even with the survey responses that came in this morning, those percentages did not change. So 80% want to stay home, and 20% said you're ready to return. I asked you in the survey about the indicators that tell you whether it is safe for you and your household to come back to church, and then ask you, what are those indicators for you? And what are those indicators for your household? The most common answer by far was that you are watching all the numbers for community infection rates. And I gave you examples of percent positive, cumulative incident rates, all of those things. And then the second most common answer was that you're waiting to see a steady decline in the infection rates locally here in Tulsa County. So this was my takeaway. This is how I read the results that you were offering to us. Our congregation really does watch the numbers. That's what tells you how safe it is for you to be in person, particularly here at church. This week, the numbers have not indicated that it is safe yet for us to be with each other, so the majority of you are saying you want to stay safer at home for a while. So that's how the numbers that you offer in the survey helps us as a leadership team and your staff to be able to understand where you are and what you need. I asked you also about other activities that you're participating in right now, and I gave you examples. Are you going to restaurants and dining in? Are you going to the gym? Are you socially gathering with your friends? And over 60% of you said none of the above. You're not doing any of those activities that would put you socially with other people right now. So the survey gave you the option at the end of the first page to say, I'm ready to return, or I need to stay safer at home. And because we used a program called SurveyMonkey, it has this feature called split logic. So I was able to give those of you who said you're ready to return a different set of answers than I gave to those of you who said you need to stay safer at home. Since 80% of you said you intend to stay safer at home, I'm going to spend the majority of my time sharing what I learned from this particular segment in those answers that you gave. What you told me is that online worship is your most important connection to our congregation, by far. A distant second is meeting with your small group over Zoom. But nothing else really approached those two forms of connection. For those of you who said, I need to stay safer at home, you were really connected through the online experience that we have each Sunday morning and through your small group over Zoom. Even though you are grateful for the chance to worship virtually, it's not the same, and you really miss being here with each other. Almost across the board, you told me that you're grateful that we have this option, but it's not the same as being in person. It was interesting, there are a variety of opinions about what you'd like to see less of and more of in what we bring to you each week in our online service. So let me offer you this. I will not please everyone. I do appreciate your feedback. Some of you want to see a lot more traditional music. Others of you want to see a different type of praise and worship music. There's lots of opinions about what you'd like to see each week in our online service. Another thing you told me, you were very encouraging of what we have done to bring this online service to you. You are an encouragement to our staff. You want us to know how much you appreciate the work we're putting in each week so this can still feel like home for you. And most of you, which is 88%, that's a very significant majority, feel like you will be able to hold your connection to our congregation if we continue to stream online and offer you group opportunities virtually. So on another part of the survey, I asked you, do you have kids and youth in your household? And if you answered yes, then I gave you some additional questions because I really wanted to know how those of you who have kids and youth in your household are feeling. We had 41 responses out of the 205 that were turned in from people who have kids and youth in their households. About 25% of those said they would like to return, and they told me that having kids with you in church is not a significant barrier to your participation. About 75% of those 41 people indicated that your family needs to stay safer at home right now. Having your kids with you in church is a much higher barrier for you, which makes sense with what you've been telling me. What I've been hearing is that until our kids and youth programming can operate as it once did, you would prefer to stay at home. That's not the case for everyone, but 75% and above, that's how you're feeling about having your kids and youth with you here in the building, because most of you really are not ready to have your family back with us yet. So what were some of the emotions that were expressed in the survey? What was some of the tone or tenor of the conversation? One of the things that was very clear to me in the survey, I could really feel your loss in the responses that you made, just as I could feel your encouragement, which was also very clear in the responses. I don't think any of us thought our building would still be closed on June the 28th when we hastily had our first online worship service on March the 15th. For those of you who were with us here in the sanctuary that day, remember that we just actually had a phone that we were streaming over Facebook Live over the cell service. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't even know what we didn't know at that point. But none of us thought that we would still be doing this on June the 28th, and it has been a long slog. I can tell you that from my perspective. I can tell you that as the staff and I visit each week. We miss you. We really, really miss having you in the sanctuary. I personally long to see your faces, and I really want to hear us sing together. I want to see your expressions when I preach. It's so much better for me when I can preach to live people in the sanctuary. And I want us to be able to come forward for communion and pray at the altar rail. And so I just need to acknowledge, you told me this in the survey, and I share your feelings about this. We have all lost so much. And then there are those of us that have suffered extreme loss during these months, whether it's the loss of a job or the loss of a loved one when you can't have a funeral. So all of us have lost much, but some of us have lost extreme amounts of things that were very important to us. As I share these survey results with you, I would want to note for you, there are two groups in our congregation that are particularly dispossessed by the situation that we're facing right now. The first of those groups is the families in our congregation that have kids and youth in their household. While they have appreciated our attempts to deliver programming online, it's not the same. And the kids know it, and you're telling me that. These families have been thrust into working from home and schooling from home. The last thing they have the energy to do is help their kids with one more online project, and I get it. And because we can't safely offer them a chance to drop their kids off so they can have an hour to focus on their own spiritual growth, they are suffering in ways that families like mine, which is an empty nest, don't understand. And so I need to be able to say that in front of us, Faith, that that particular group among us is dispossessed in ways that other groups are not. The second group that is particularly dispossessed among us are vulnerable adults, those over 65 and those with health complications. If they contract this virus, COVID-19, it means more than a nasty illness for them. It likely means their families are going to face end-of-life decisions. These persons are feeling the loss of in-person connection in all areas of their life. They're sharing with me how painful it is that they've not seen their grandchildren. They're not able to meet friends for a meal. They're not able to be in their Sunday school class. There were several comments from this particular group about their disappointment over others who won't wear masks. I hunch that this group feels that our insistence on personal freedoms deepens their loss because they don't feel safe going out in public no matter where it is. And not knowing what they might be exposed to if they come to church means they can't take the risk no matter how much they want to. And so I would name for us this morning, friends, that this group feels loss in ways that other groups do not. And as a church community, as the body of Christ, as those who care and love each other, it's important for us to name that those families who have kids and youth in their household and those who are vulnerable adults over 65 or those with health complications or both, those two groups suffer in ways that those of us that are not in those groups probably can't really appreciate or understand. So for these two groups, we offer our prayers this morning. For those among us and in our community who struggle with addiction and find they are not safer at home, we offer our prayers this morning. For those who are threatened by domestic violence and where home has never been a safe place, we offer our prayers this morning. For those who are wondering how they're going to pay rent, buy groceries, or get needed medication when their unemployment is decreased in just a few days, we offer our prayers this morning. For all the loss that this season has hoisted upon us, we pray. May God offer us mercy as we continually seek ways to be the hands and feet of Christ in safe and respectful ways. Faith, I do really appreciate you taking time to fill out the survey. It's been very helpful. And if you have not filled out the survey yet, please don't hesitate. You can find a link on our website. It was at the top of the Friday email. Go ahead and fill that out. Let us hear from you. Let us know how you're feeling about your readiness to return.